Hello once again, and Tony here with a review of Rossini's Guillaume with conductor Gabriele Ferro, which was live from the Teatro Massimo di Palermo. I was anticipating this particular radio transmission because not only did the cast consist of such industry veterans like Roberto Frontali, Dimitri Korczak, Enkeleda Szkoza, Nino Machaidze, among many others, but the cast also consisted of some fresh faces, most notably Emanuele Cordaro and Anna Maria Sara. I'll gladly talk about the singers right now, starting off with Roberto Frontali as Guillaume Tell. I'm not so sure if he already sang this particular role in the 90s or the early 2000s, but based on what I heard in his performance as this iconic Swiss hero, I have to say that he did a very fine job. Sure, there were some areas in which his French pronunciation was kind of laughable, as in there were times that he kind of took advantage of the fact that French can be a slightly nasally language when he enunciated some of his ahs, and they basically turned to as. But despite some of those unintentionally hilarious gripes, I still have to give Signore Frontali lots of credit for everything he accomplished as a singing actor. He was, as always, dedicated to his craft, and he ensured a lot of vocal security in everything he did, even though there were times some of his high notes did come off as screams, but I digress. He was still a fine and absolutely determined and diligent singing actor, and it was all thanks to his focused and absolutely exciting dramatic baritone voice. That said voice has been his asset for many years, and he continues to flaunt it so effectively. Returning as Edwige was Enkeleda Szkoza, and as always, she was a fine and awesome dramatic mezzo who threw herself in this particular role, and she managed to sell the goods both vocally and dramatically. I have to give her a lot of kudos for making this particular character role come to life, all in courtesy of her round and exciting dramatic mezzo voice. Dimitri Korczak was youthful, passionate, determined, heroic, and simply put awesome as Arnold Mechtal, with his lyric tenor voice which soars a lot of heights, and of course that dashing timbre which he has been very well known for. He certainly has a lot of charisma to back him up. His technique was of the highest order, and for that he continued to show how great he was as a musician, and it was all thanks to his pristine technique and, of course, those really wonderful ringing high notes. Whether they be B flats, B's, C's, or even D flats. He accomplished everything at such an exceeding level. Nino Machaidze was an absolutely thrilling Princess Matilde, and it's all thanks to that full, rich, and blossoming lyric dramatic coloratura soprano voice. Yes, it doesn't really have the refinement of, let's say, Joan Sutherland, Beverly Sills, Montserrat Caballé, and even Aprile Milo, but I still have to give her a great amount of credit for everything she had to pull off as Matilde. She was able to put in so much effort in this particular part that I was absolutely amazed at everything she did. She was and will always will be a dedicated, diligent, and absolutely fabulous and glamorous singing actress. With such a wide-ranging and full-bodied lyric dramatic coloratura soprano voice, she continues to make said voice her asset. And of course, her chemistry with Dimitri Korchak's Arnold was absolutely wonderful. Their voices blended so excitingly that I was practically on cloud nine. And I have to give the both of them a lot of kudos because they were able to work well off of each other, but more than anything, as individuals, they were great in their own terms. Emanuele Cordaro was a virile, awesome, and grand old man mextal with his mature sounding and absolutely rich, round, and cavernous basso profondo / basso cantante voice. This young talent has certainly paved the way to make his career flourish even further. He has a voice which is rich in texture and velvety in the low notes, and I cannot wait to see where his future will go. He definitely has a great career ahead of him, and I can definitely tell that this young basso cantante will reach great heights, and I'm sure that he will have an international career worth remembering, as it is all thanks to his peerlessly flawless musicianship and of course that charisma he was able to give to Mextal. Marco Spotti was an equally virile, handsome, and absolutely masculine Walter Fürst. With his basso cantante / basso profondo voice, he certainly made the role his own. He had a richness to him that made him stand out, and he was absolutely exceptional in this role, and he made the best out of Walter Fürst, giving him his nobility and of course backed up by a virile basso cantante / profondo voice. Luca Titotto was absolutely suave, devilish, and charismatic as Gessler, as it is all thanks to his basso cantante voice. It has a richness which made this character all the more villainous and reptilian, but at the same time it had a charm which made him almost similar to Don Giovanni, as in he's suave, he's like a debonair, and he certainly knows how to be quite appealing, even though he is rather nasty as a character. He was able to master this particular villain so effectively. I have to give it to Luca Titotto for mastering this particular villain so exceptionally, and I cannot wait to see a lot more of him. He was a gentleman in every single way, as he was able to embody Gessler with a fair amount of nobility, but also a great amount of sleaze, as he was able to put his serpentine basso cantante voice to the greatest of uses, and the results were phenomenal. Paolo Orecchia made the best out of Loitol, and it's all thanks to his lyric dramatic baritone voice that he was able to make a great impression on this character part. I also have to give a lot of credit to Cosimo Diano for using his bass baritone voice to the best of his abilities to bring the huntsman to life. Returning as Ruodi was Enea Scala, who was dashing, and this time he was a lot more well-focused on his high notes, as they came out cleaner, fresher, and brighter than his performance in the Royal Opera House in that very same role. He continues to be as charismatic, charming, and absolutely thrilling as a lyric tenor, and I have to give this gentleman a lot of kudos, and I have to give Signore Scala loads of kudos for being such a charmer. He truly knew how to be enticing in this particular role, and for that, his efforts were more than laudable. They were outstanding all the way through. Matteo Mezzaro was wonderfully lyrical as Rodolphe, and he was able to be passionate and fiery in this villainous character that he came off as exciting. He certainly had such a voice which was not only enticing in terms of its volume and texture, but he was able to act with said voice so effectively. I can definitely see a magnificent future with Signore Mazzaro as his voice just blossoms like a great garden of roses, gardenias, and many other wonderful flowers in a garden. Anna Maria Sara was charming and absolutely lovely as Gemmi. With her light soprano voice, she knew how to make said voice blossom like a nightingale waking up to greet the day. She was like a happy lark when she sang her lines so effectively, and I can sense the overall joy she has in her craft as a fine, young lyric soprano who is paving the way to make it happen in terms of everything that's going to be great with her career. This is a young, light lyric soprano I want to look out for more often because she has an enticingly pleasing voice and she has a brilliant future ahead of her. So overall, the singing was absolutely amazing, not only from the industry veterans like Roberto Frontali, Enkele de Scosa, Dimitri Korczak, and Nino Machaidze, or even that of Marco Spotti and Luca Titoto, but also the younger generation consisting of Emanuele Cordaro, Anna Maria Sara, and Matteo Mezzaro. And the conducting done by Gabriele Ferro was absolutely amazing. He was able to make sure that the orchestra, the chorus, and the singers were able to be in sync with each other. And of course, the chorus and orchestra of the Teatro Massimo di Palermo were stunning all the way through. So overall, with such wonderful singers ranging from Roberto Frontali to Matteo Mezzaro, and of course, such great conducting by Gabriele Ferro, this particular radio transmission of Rossini's Guillaume Tell was an absolute treat. And for those of you who heard this particular radio transmission live from the Teatro Massimo di Palermo, what'd you think of it? Did you feel like Roberto Frontali stole the show as Guillaume Tell? Was there another singer who stole his thunder, whether it be Nino Machaidze, Dimitri Korczak, Enkele Scosa, Enea Scala, Matteo Mezzaro, Marco Spotti, Emanuele Cordaro, Luca Titoto, or many other of the singers who participated? Or do you feel like there was someone who stuck out like a sore thumb, or even something that just didn't really hold up? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where I review Donizetti's Elisir d'Amore live from Bilbao, starring Jessica Pratt and Pavel Breslik. So until then, good night everybody.